everybody, my name is Spammals and welcome to a different type of video. This seems to be kind of a yearly reoccurrence where we take a break from playing the video games and I break out the private collection and I share some of it with you, tell a little bit of a story. So without any more stalling, let's begin! So today I want to talk a little bit about the story of Britannic, but maybe not perhaps the Britannic you think I'm talking about. We will begin speaking about Titanic's sister ship, the Britannic, but then transition into the MV Britannic or motor vessel Britannic, which ultimately, while not being the last built White Star liner, was the last White Star liner in service, ending in 1960. That's crazy to think she still was working as late as that. Anyway, to the story. Boof! Look at this new UI. So, to get the ball rolling, we have the Britannic. Launched February 26, 1914, she was to be the final Olympic-class liner, intended to be joining Olympic on that lovely transatlantic passenger service. However, fate would have a different plan. With the outbreak of war, she was recommissioned in 1915 and taken into service as a hospital ship with the prefix HMHS. But before we get to such, well, warful times, here is a lovely picture postcard of what she may have looked like in her passenger times. Classic White Star colouring with that black hole, white tops, buff funnels. She looks gorgeous, and different from Olympic, she has that Titanic style of an enclosed promenade, but with the new additions of gantry davits, a way of reclaiming that deck space whilst maintaining the new lifeboat regulations. One can only fantasize of a world where the war didn't take place and that Britannic did join Olympic in service, and just think of what they could have done together. It's not quite the trio that the White Star Line had originally envisioned. That itself would have been a massive fantasy, but to think of these two ships, these two monsters, if they'd got out there, would Cunard still be here today? Question for the audience. Anyway, moving on. So this next one is very special. This is a real photograph of the Britannic departing Southampton. But what makes this extremely rare and interesting, well, let me go through this step by step. What we're looking at right here is an envelope. I know, amazing. But it's a special envelope. It's come directly from the studio that developed the photo. It says on it, photographs, handle with care, please keep flat. It's got the address of where it's going. But wait, it's also got some stamps on it and a date. This was posted November 27th, 1916. The Britannic sank November 21st, 1916. This was posted directly from the studio just 6 days after the Britannic sank. And coming directly from the studio, it's extremely likely that this is a first generation photograph taken from the original negative. Let's take a look at that photograph, shall we? I have to handle this with extreme care. The envelope has been ripped open. It's only got one single hinge. Oh, take away this. They've got some card in here just for bracing. And there you have it. I haven't scanned this photo yet. This photo and this envelope are still not in protection. It's something I'm going to do as soon as this video is done with. But here we have it. Now keep in mind, she only had 6 voyages. And on that 6th voyage, she was sunk. So there's a 1 in 6 opportunity to get this photo. So it's a very special photo. It is kind of common on the internet. If you do a Google search, this is typically kind of the poster child that you see splashed around everywhere. But to have an original photo, not a reproduction, not a modern reprint, it's just the original thing. The photographer took a photo, went back to his studio, he made this, posted it to someone, and then boom, here it is today. I am very proud to have this. It's truly a museum piece, I believe so, especially coupled with the envelope from the studio. It gives it a story. Like, an item from the past is one thing, but what makes them truly magic is when they tell a story. And this photo on its own is amazing, and equally would be proud to have that, but to have the envelope and the story with it, it makes it even more unique. But we're not done. So, whoever got this, I don't know if they kept it in their family or not, but there's press clippings. So here we have a newspaper clipping from the Pictorial Newspaper Co. 1910 Limited at the Daily Mirror offices. Now we've got a nice clear view of the Britannic on location. To get this along with the photo was a 2-for-1 bonus, you know, it's an amazing picture. And it reads, Great hospital ship lost, Britannic, sunk by mine or torpedo in the Aegean. Now today we know that it was a sea mine that did sink her, but for the longest time people did say it was a torpedo, and it did help the war march, you know, avenge the Britannic. sort of thing, because, you know, it was a hospital ship. It was a very dirty thing to sink hospital ships. So this is a period press clipping. I can only imagine the individual who requested this photo be printed also cut this news clipping at the same time, which again links these two together. But I don't know if it stays in the same family or not, because they have another press clipping, but this time it's from when the wreck was discovered. I need to hold this up to my face for this one because it's way too small to read from a distance. But Jacques Cousteau, the French underwater explorer, has helped resolve a 60-year-old doubt over the sinking of the British Army hospital ship in the 1914-1918 war. The Britannic, 48,158-ton, a sister ship to the Titanic, was on her way through the Aegean with a crew and nursing staff of more than 1,000 when she was sunk near the islands of Chaos, with the loss of 21 lives. The ship's captain, Charles Barrett, Royal Navy Reserve, was always convinced that the ship had been torpedoed by a German submarine, while the experts assumed the ship had been mined. Now, research by Commander Cousteau in the Aegean last summer would suggest Bartlett was right all along. Now, to stop the report there, but basically Cousteau claims, from what he's seen on the wreck, it was definitely a torpedo, because of course the bow has massive gaping breaks in it. But no, he's wrong. It was a sea mine. But it's still an interesting piece of history nonetheless. So there you go. That is it for the Britannic, for the HMS Britannic, for the RMS to be Britannic, the Titanic and Olympic class sister Britannic. One last fine fact about this envelope. It has this nice little, albeit small resolution, picture of the Mauritania in her hospital ship colours. So that's a nice little Brucey bonus right there. Hey, hey, hey. The reason I scan these is the idea is to never touch them ever again. Horrible as that sounds, don't want to be handling such old items. This is 101 years old. That's older than any of us watching this video. Okay, so moving on in life, we have the Britannic. So here we have a pre-launch photo of the hull of the Britannic. Now, she was launched on August 6, 1929. It can only be assumed that this is either taken on that day or maybe the day before when she was getting made ready. I don't know, but it's definitely a pre-launch photo. Her hull has been painted and complete. She's ready to get wet. So how do you sell a ship that's still under production? How do you get passengers on board when they have nothing to show them? Well, you use artistic impressions. Up next, we have the new transatlantic aristocrat of the White Star Line. This is a pre-maiden voyage brochure. It was made to help sell that voyage and any future voyages. Inside, I believe it has some 21 pictures. Not photos, but pictures showing what grandeur you might expect on the inside, from the public rooms to the accommodation to the lovely features the ship has, covered in that classic White Star Line beautiful writing. Just to read you a piece of 1929 classic White Star Line spiel, the introduction to this begins: the White Star Line takes great pride in placing at service of transatlantic travellers another beautiful creation, a new maritime masterpiece, the great motor vessel Britannic, world's largest cabin liner, 26,840 tons, 712 feet in length and 82 feet in breadth. Even the uninitiated will quickly note in the appearance of this splendid liner something new and unusual, something majestically modern. In her construction is embodied every improvement known to present-day shipbuilders. In her service, her furnishings, her equipment and her decorations, she sets a new high standard for cabin liner. Her public rooms of unusual size are harmoniously decorated by European masters of art and luxuriously furnished with the comfort of her passengers as the guiding principle. Her amazing, I'm looking around the microphone, her amazing spacious staterooms are equipped with every modern convenience. I'm going to stop there because it goes on for quite a while, but it's got some great pictures inside. It's an amazing item to have, and it's just another part of her story. Moving on! So now we're moving on to our final item of the display. I hope you've enjoyed this. I feel like I may have saved the best till last. Fast forward through life, Cunard and White Star Line, they merged to create Cunard White Star, and yeah, life continues. See, here we have a Cunard White Star post-refit brochure for the MV Britannic, and it's been described as arguably the best advertising piece Cunard White Star ever did for the Britannic. Her post-war refit was basically to bring up to the standards of your Queen Mary's and your Queen Elizabeth's. But what makes this such a special brochure is that it features, I think, some 16 colour photos on the inside. Colour photos! What is this witchcraft you speak of? Now, it shows a nice broad side of the entire ship. You got some deck spaces, you got the cabins, you got public rooms, and it does look gorgeous. Now, of course, you can really draw some similarities to the Queen Mary in that with this, and naturally so, because it is kind of bringing it in line. But it is unusual that they would dedicate so much money on the Britannic for this major update, when, you know, they could have easily just scrapped her and put the money towards the new ship. Clearly, there was something very special about the Britannic. She was very loved by her crew, by her passengers, and arguably so by Cunard White Star. Because even more so, you know, as the time goes on, roll on 1960, she's still in service. Crazy. 30-year service. You know, White Star Line is nothing but a distant memory at this point. Now, while the MV Britannic would not be the last White Star Line ship, that honour goes to her sister, the Georgic. However, she would be the final White Star Liner in service. The Georgic, she suffered badly through the war. She was bombed, massive fires set on board her. She was badly damaged, and she got by. She did her best. But the Britannic just endeavoured and endured and continued to thrive. Now, she was supposed to be scrapped in 1961, but it was during a Mediterranean voyage in 1960 that she suffered crankshaft damage. And when she got back to New York City, they kind of reviewed the situation and thought, nah, you fucked it, mate. It's fucked. We're not going to repair that. And so her fate was sealed. Regrettably, on November 25th, 1960, the Britannic departs New York City for the final time, never to return. And with that, ending the history of White Star Line as a shipping company. And yeah, that sucks. While White Star does live on to this day through Cunard, they technically still own the White Star Line brand, and they do have their White Star Line service and all of their lovely uniforms. Never again would a pure White Star Line built ship sail the oceans. I mean, yes, the Queen Mary and stuff is technically a Cunard White Star joint effort, but no, the Britannic is very much a purebred White Star Line vessel. With that, the flag is lowered for the last time, and it brings an end a chapter of maritime history. And with that, I have a video! So I hope you've enjoyed this little show and tell storytelling behind the scenes piece. I do enjoy doing these, although I'm terrified when doing them. I don't get to see my collection very often because I live in a box and I don't have space for them. But I like doing this. I'd like to do this more in the future. If you have enjoyed this, please let me know in the comments below. It would encourage me to make sure this comes back as a reoccurring thing. And on that bombshell, thank you for watching. Rate, comment and subscribe. And I'll see you here in the next episode. Goodbye, everybody.